Hello, everyone, and welcome to the whole story. We are here on this Memorial Day, Monday. We hope everyone at home is having a great Memorial Day. We experienced a little technical difficulties, like normal, to start off to start off our show. But really, in the grand scheme of what this day is all about, it's not that big of a deal, and we will absolutely push on. So, we had an exciting-ish Monaco Grand Prix. Me and Alex, as we just dropped a few comments before stream started, said it definitely wasn't one of the worst races there. When we're in the middle of a doubleheader weekend like we are today, we get to go over the Monaco Grand Prix. We get to review the Spanish Grand Prix, which we got up next. There's actually been a decent amount of like news and rumors, but rumors with some facts coming in that we get to discuss today. So on this Memorial Day, we are very pumped to be here with you guys and chat. Alex, what's going on, buddy? Yes, sir. Shouts out to our veterans. All right, let's talk about that Monaco Grand Prix that just happened. I think, before we get started, I'll just say Ferrari's best part was probably that F40 on the yacht. Um, I think that was their best part of the weekend, was all the publicity that got. Yes. Yeah. Um, Wait, can you just audio check real quick?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah, I might have just had to make an adjustment. I'm not sure. Someone's gonna let us know. But yes, they're again right. What was it last year or 2 years ago? They pulled out the special library, and it was
I think it was 2 years ago, the Gulf one.
yeah.
The teal.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Absolutely. You know, if you're not gonna be fast, you might as well look fast, and I think they do. I think they're doing a
I
pretty good
wish they would.
job
I
at
wish they
that.
would stick with it. To be honest, that thing was beautiful.
And then Zach Brown wasn't even at the race. He was at the Indy 500 with the other McLaren team they have.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. McLaren has an IndyCar team, and I
And you
guess
get an
that
indie team. I didn't know Zach Brown was there. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. So he was at the Indy 500. They were starting to show him a lot at the end. So yes, McLaren. I actually have a few notes about McLaren because I thought their weekend wasn't a complete bust. Um, but let's. I got to tune into some practice. I don't know if you saw any. No crazy news besides Hamilton wrecks out once, Carlos Sainz wrecks out once, but in the grand scheme of things, their cars got back together and they qualified fine. So no big news coming from qualifying, at least from my end. I don't know about what
Oh,
what
practice
you
or
thought,
qualifying?
or from practice. Excuse me.
Okay, okay, yeah. Practice was like, yeah. Just the wrecks and everything. Kind of curious as to why. Like maybe that's if Hamilton was struggling at all, because I know that during qualifying he was talking about how the car was undrivable for a little bit. But it seemed like he did pretty well at the end, so no
Yep.
complaints.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think practice was a lot for those guys trying to see what those upgrades are worth on a track that is probably the the worst track to unveil your upgrades on, and drivers getting in each other's way. Everyone was mad, and I get it. Like I'd probably be mad too in the moment when I'm trying to get my laps in, but they got to know that's like the smallest and tightest
It's
track. They
Monaco.
got the
That is
yeah,
Monaco.
like I said, in the moment, I'm sure they're pissed and it's understandable. But I bet you when they take off their helmet, they're not that mad because how do you get that's the track's awful. Like there's certain tracks, certain parts of that track, like you almost can't hide to let like someone pass you. You know,
Yeah, it's hard. It's very,
yeah,
very hard.
it's tough. So everyone's getting angry with each other at that. But then we had qualifying, and leave it to Red Bull to give us a little bit of excitement. Not as probably what Red Bull fans want, but at least at home it made it kind of interesting. I think the biggest news in the first Q1 was Sergio Perez wrecks out and going into turn one.
Yeah, messed up my pickums right away.
Yep.
As soon as that happened, I know he wasn't coming in the top five, and I think I had him at two.
Yes, you did.
So, but yeah, definitely made it interesting. And to just jump further ahead, it was close. Everything was close, and everybody was just getting faster and faster and faster as qualifying went on. And qualifying was fun to watch. Really,
Yeah.
really fun to watch.
Well, in that Q1 session when Sergio wrecks out, they go to James Voles, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. He's the new like sporting director or the new head of competition for Williams. And he was saying that like you could on these street circuits and when the track sits, you could see the dust gets formed and leaves gets on them, and like there's no wonder why the track gets that much faster as the session goes on. That red flag kind of messed with Williams' session a little bit, but he was not wrong. Like you couldn't sometimes Red Bull can go out and put that banker lap in and then just sit while everyone else runs. You had to
Yeah, you
put your
can't.
run towards the end of the session.
Yeah, you can't. And then Q3, who goes out in Q3? It's the Williams guys, Red Bull, Checo.
So who goes out first? Is Sergio obviously goes out because of that crash, so he starts 20th, and then Joe Guan Yu, Nico Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, so both Haas's, and then Logan Sargent goes out. So Alex Albon
Yeah,
gets them
Ferrari.
into the next qualifying stage like he normally does, carrying that team a little bit on his back. But that was Q1, and I think if you watched I forget if it was Q1 or Q2, but like Hamilton almost wasn't safe. He was on the back foot. Me and you have
Both.
discussed that
I
on the
think it
side.
might have been both times. I think it might have
Yeah.
been Q3 and Q2. He barely made it through. Yeah, both times.
Yeah, using extra tires. So that was Q1. We get into Q2. We'll talk about who gets eliminated here. Valtteri Bottas, Lance Stroll, Albon, Nick DeVries, and Oscar Piastri all get eliminated. Again, Lance Stroll, like what are we doing?
Yeah, dude. Like, I don't know if you saw the construction championship. Mercedes is a point behind
Yeah.
Aston
And they're
Martin,
and
and
we sh-
that's
they
all
sh-
Stroll.
yeah. Merc-
They should be pushing like 200 points
yeah.
realistically.
Mercedes should not even be close to Aston Martin just based off of what Fernando's doing. And all Lance would have to do was just score a few points here and
Just
there, you know?
put it in P5, P6. You can't even get in the points. Yeah,
Yeah,
out in Q. You have no excuse to be out in Q2 with that car. Sorry.
absolutely none. And I think the biggest part of Q2, besides again Hamilton had to put in his best lap on the last lap, was Lando Norris puts in kind of a banker lap, and then he wrecks at the end of Q2, and they're able to fix his car for Q3. But he snuck in into that Q3, so that was a
Piastri, I felt heartbreaking for Piastri to not get to that Q3, but
yeah,
Lewis put it together at the end, which is quite impressive because he was coming on cold tires, and he was like, "There's no way I can pull this off." I wanted to say that was the call he made. He did a great job.
Yeah. I mean, again, Oscar didn't look bad in the race, didn't look bad in the qualifying, so you got to give him his credit there. I thought, and we'll discuss, but I thought Nick had a great weekend. 12th is not too bad qualifying for that AlphaTauri. I don't know what you would expect. And, I mean, Albon puts it 13th, and then Bottas 15th. Like, I guess if your teammate's 19th, it makes you look good. It's not like Joe Guan Yu's up in 6th and he's in 15th, so, but that Alfa Romeo struggling. News to talk about them today too, so that's all exciting stuff. Um, then I think the most exciting thing is Q3 here. As you guys know, Max Verstappen puts it on pole with a basically a out of mind, out of body, insane
Sector
third
three.
sector. There's I don't know if you've seen there's some good like comparisons and like where they where they do like virtual and like they put them on track and like you can at the same time and Fernando's car's ahead through the whole
Oh
lap.
yeah,
And
I
so
seen that. Yep, the entire time. Yep,
yep,
I saw that.
ESPN
Yeah, yeah.
F1 might have reposted that if you guys want to go take a look. But and if you guys don't know, Q3 is or Sector 3 is the smallest sector on Monaco. It's not much at all. So if you would have thought that that's where anyone could gain time, you would say no because it's just the smallest sector. You're gonna have a harder time gaining time. And Fernando's on pole. I think myself, you, everyone was excited to see someone different on pole. And Max just shows why he's Max.
Dude, that was insane.
Yeah,
The whole qualifying session was just insane. Like everybody was getting faster and faster and faster. Um, Ocon comes on. Oh, first before we start getting into it, Max coming out first for Q3 because he did not want a repeat of last year.
Yep.
Somebody crashing out and then him not getting his time in. So he comes
Yep.
out and just guns it off the rip. So it's not like Max was like holding back. He was gunning for his first lap to be his qualifying lap, as was everybody else. And then O kind of comes and just decides to fuck everything all up and go, yeah, I'm gonna take pole for a little bit. And then
Yeah.
Alonso puts out a phenomenal lap, and then you're watching Max's last lap, and you're like, yeah, he's too far behind in sector one. He's too far behind in sector two. And then I don't know, he had some Nas coming out of sector three or something because like that was insane. I don't know how he made up that much time in sector three, like
Yeah.
physically impossible.
And I forget if it was just green or if his sector colors were yellow. But I even think the announcers, I think they might have saw
They
yellow,
were green.
yellow. Were they green?
Yeah, I think they were green. Yeah.
But even the announcers were saying like, I don't think he's going to get fast time, and then he jumps to first in that last sector. It was absolutely insane, and he hits the wall in the front stretch. You saw that, right?
That was another thing. Yeah, he hit the wall. He's like, yeah, I hit that hard. Like he didn't even care that he qualified P1 at that point. Like, the first thing he said was like, I hit that wall really, really hard.
Yeah, to hit the wall on a fast lap like that when you're behind in the first two sectors and it's still, I mean, I know this, there was not much left of that lap when he hit the wall, but oh man, it was something incredible. So Max Verstappen, if we had some award to give you, you would get it for that qualifying, that sector 3. That's just one that will be talked about forever. You know what? He deserves it though because we always reference Jeddah where he crashes out in the third sector and ruins the lap. So now he hits us with the reverse in the awesome third sector and puts it on pole. So
He's had close to perfect times. That's crazy.
oh man, he does it. Second, Fernando Alonso. Third, Charles Leclerc. Esteban Ocon, like Alex mentioned, with a great qualifying session, puts it fourth. That dude was crazy. We'll talk more about that. Carlos Sainz fifth. Hamilton sixth. Gasly seventh. Russell eighth. Yuki puts it up in ninth, and then Lando in 10th. So we have to discuss this, and I want to get into a fight here, or I need you or whoever's watching to straighten me out or tell me I'm a baby. But why does Charles Leclerc ruin qualifying sessions for everybody? Like I'm like low key real mad about this. So Alex, I need you to stick with me here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he qualifies third, right? Third, Leclerc. Mm-hmm. He impedes Lando Norris, so he doesn't get his lap in. He gets a 3-place grid penalty and still starts ahead of the dude he just screwed over. I don't like. I get, we had this whole discussion.
I mean, to be devil's advocate.
Yep, no, I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
To be devil's advocate, that McLaren isn't putting it up there. Lando's a great driver. Lando did a great job this weekend, but he's not qualifying anywhere above any of those cars in front of him, except for maybe Yuki.
Nope. So Lando in Q2 qualifies. He runs a 12.3. Charles runs a 12.1. So he's 2/10 off. Okay, stay with me.
That's Monaco. Okay.
He's 2/10 off. If he can run 2/10 off of Leclerc in the Q3, right? If he ran 2/10 off of him in Q2, if he could do that in Q3, he starts the race in 5th or 6th place.
Okay. All right, that was just to be devil. I agree with you. I do agree with you, but at the same time, had that happened, then you had Charles starting P10 instead of P6. He got put back to, right?
Yeah, P6. Yeah.
P6. So, would you felt like that would have been fair, especially in a race like Monaco? Like, there's no way in hell he's making up that time.
I just really struggle with this. With the again back to Miami, he ruins it for all those people and still starts ahead of them. How do you ruin? You ruin a qualifying session for someone, and then you still start ahead of them. What's the penalty? Right? Because now I'm thinking some real dirty stuff here. I'm thinking back to Abu Dhabi when there's a points championship on the line. Let's say in Q3, Hamilton gets a banker lap. He's on the pole. Max's first lap, he locks up, comes in, gets a new set of tires. Now he's got 1 lap left. Why doesn't Bottas just impede him? Take a 3-second grid penalty. Max only has a lap that starts 10th.
Okay.
And now
Ferrari's not smarter. Ferrari's not smart enough to honestly tell Charles to go out there and do that, right? But Charles, I will agree with you. Maybe the penalty does have to be a little harsher. You do got to put him at least P10 because
Yeah.
if he's constantly doing this, it's got something got to change.
I thank you for telling me that I'm smarter than a Ferrari strategist. I appreciate you. But I just, it's crazy to me that like, should like Lando get one more lap? You know, no,
I don't
maybe,
think you can. I don't think you can only because like the track was obviously getting faster. You could see that everybody was putting in these crazy times. Like if Lando gets that extra time, then maybe Lando does qualify P2, P3, or he ends up P1 and stealing the show from Max.
yeah,
But I don't think you can give him the extra lap per se. I do agree with you. Maybe I don't. I think you have to start Charles P10. In all honesty, because you can't just give Lando extra positions because it's not. Then you're hurting people who weren't even involved in the incident.
yeah,
And you know what I mean. So like, I think yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you.
yeah,
It's
and
just hard because it's Monaco, and Monaco there's like literally no overtaking.
yeah, I'm with
So
you. It's like, yeah, like racing things happen, right? Like that's just racing. Anything can happen. But like, we're not under the term racing yet, are we? We're qualifying. We're trying to determine our order for the race.
yeah,
In a lot of other sports, they single car qualifying, not all of them, and I'm sure there's incidents in other sports too. But I'm just saying, I don't think Lando starts 10th. And we don't know because the car got beat up in Q2, but I bet you he gains a spot or two.
yeah, I would agree with you there. I think he qualified maybe like P8 or something, P7.
Yeah, yeah, and then he's on the grid and he sees that Ferrari that impeded him way up the road, and you're like, bro, I could have been a couple cars closer, maybe. But um, you know, Charles Leclerc was my pick to win the race, just like yours got shattered in qualifying and or with Sergio wrecking out, and so did my pick him get wrecked too when Leclerc was in third. Maybe something could happen, and then he gets a penalty to sixth, and I said the day is over before it even begins. So
Welcome to
yeah,
Monaco.
welcome to Monaco. You're not kidding. Um, so that was qualifying. Like we said, that Leclerc 3 grid penalty puts Esteban Ocon starting third, Carlos starting fourth, Lewis starting fifth, and then it puts Charles in sixth. So race starts, lights out, away we go. Me and Alex are both Hamilton fans here. So Lewis Hamilton, first lap. Does he need to stick it in there on Carlos Sights or what?
No, I think
No.
you kind. I mean, no, only because it is Monaco. Lewis has to play the long game, and like I said before, Ferrari strategy is going to fuck him over somewhere down the line. So Lewis probably knows that as well,
Yep.
and he ended up benefiting of it because like if Lewis does stick it in there, I would say like 70% chance there's going to be a wreck, and they're both going to end up losing positions, and they got to pit early. I don't think Lewis. I think what Lewis did was a smart thing. It sucks, but that's Monaco. That's just Monaco. You can't do anything about it. I think the only one
Yeah.
who had some ballsy overtakes was Checo. Fucking back of the grid.
Yeah, I definitely I thought I wanted him to stick it in there and try to make that pass, but I could totally see your side, and that's probably why he's a 7 times champion. Eight, excuse me. He mitigates those risks a little bit, and I don't know. I mean that's your only chance to pass too. But it is what it is. Our fan of the show, Ryan McComb, said Lando couldn't afford to race another lap because it was getting too
Ryan,
close to his bedtime.
Ryan, take the N out of Lando's name at the end.
Yeah, he doesn't. Whatever. He's trying. He sends me Formula One stuff through the week, so we give him credit. Friend of the
Okay.
show. All right, so that's lap one, and then it basically settles into Max first, Fernando second, Esteban third. You have Carlos in fourth, Lewis in fifth, and that's kind of the follow the leader for most of the race there. Um,
Yes and no, because Max I think was like a 20-second gap before the rain started.
yeah, it was just a big follow leader. um, so I'm not having my notes, some lap one incidents here. Lance Stroll getting into it.
Everything and everyone.
Do you think that he thinks that the green color is like meant for his car to be a tank? So it's like Because I don't understand. First of all, that car takes a beating and still drives.
It
Let's be
does. I don't know
honest.
how. Yeah, I don't know how it does it.
Hey, what do we say from week one? From week one,
I think he had
when
two
he hit
incidents.
Alonso at Bahrain, and like, both those cars kept on going, we said, wow, this dude literally is like, I, I'm gonna put it
What,
through this wall and try to make this pass and see what happens.
before we jump too far ahead, was it last year when when Alonso's car got launched into the air? Wasn't that Stroll's fault? You remember what I'm talking about when he's on Alpine and his car got literally like it got launched. It went straight up like 45 degrees in the air.
Maybe it wouldn't surprise me.
I I think it was Stroll's fault because I'm pretty sure I remember somebody commenting on it. That's your teammate next year, and that's the crash. It was like that. Alonso ended up bringing that car back to the pits. I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
but that car should have been fucking red flag and gone. But anyways,
Uh,
no. But yeah, Stroll is just
yeah.
I don't know.
I think BWT needs to put up some more money. They need to turn those cars pink again. I know Aston Martin's green, but I think we got to turn those cars pink again because pink Lance Stroll was okay. Green Lance Stroll thinks he's in the army with that thing, so he's like not even gonna worry about passing. We're just gonna drive
You
over
know,
people.
I was a huge fan of the pink, but I will say this forest green they got going or mint green, whatever you want to call it, it grew on me, and I think that is a beautiful car.
Yeah, it's just not working for Lance. I agree.
No,
Beautiful
but that's
car,
not.
but
And then
it's
at that point, the owner's got to take some reevaluation, take some accountability. I raised a son who doesn't know how to do anything but crash, so I got to go replace him.
oh, that's so mean to Lance. I think he's better. I just don't think green's his color.
Dude, I get it, but it's like, bro, like you are single-handedly about to cost your father and this team millions of dollars if you keep racing the way you're racing because Mercedes is going to overtake. Because I think Lewis has like a 15-point lead on George or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah,
But like Alonso's like, is he P3 in the constructors championship? I'm sorry, in the drivers championship.
yep.
He's third. Yeah, he's got to be third. And then Lance is like 13th.
No,
I'm
he's
pretty
got.
sure.
I
No,
haven't.
he's
I
like
have it in front of
eighth.
me.
He's like
He's
eighth or
probably.
ninth or something. He's like eighth or ninth, right?
Yeah, he's eighth. He's eighth.
Eighth. Okay.
Yeah,
But like, how many points does he have? Like 12.
27.
Yeah, and Alonso. So Alonso has almost 100 points.
Yeah, 93. Yeah,
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That should
yeah,
not be that big of a gap. You have no excuse. And week after week after week after week, you're finishing. You're getting eliminated in Q2, Q3s. That's easily a Q1 car. It should be a. Sorry, you're getting eliminated in Q1s and Q2s. You should be eliminated at the very. You should be making Q3 every single time with that car,
yeah.
like finishing in the top 5, top 6. But
Absolutely.
he's not performing. He's time after time after time, and it's not his teammates trying to help him too. Which good luck
Yep.
getting this Alonso ever again. But
Yeah.
his teammates trying to help him, and he's just like he just can't get the job done. You
Yeah,
got to
and
take accountability.
that almost says everything. How helpful Alonso's being, because I guarantee you, Alonso's not being that helpful if it's a
No,
if it's if
if it's like Lando Norris in that car and he's competing with him for points, no, not at all.
yeah, yep. I couldn't agree with you more. So that was kind of the first ish lap incidents. Excuse me, not Lando. Lance was hitting everything out there, and then the race goes pretty well here. We get to the first round of kind of dry pit stops, and one thing, if I'm remembering correctly here, we got a pretty close battle in third, fourth, and fifth between
Yeah,
Ocon, Seitz, and Hamilton.
and a lot. Yep.
Hamilton kind of has a nice gap to pit, so he pits first. He started on the medium. It was I think him, Ocon, and Max were the only three, or the first three on the mediums. Everyone else was on the hards. So they pit Lewis in. So obviously it's critical outlaps. They were worried about him getting overcut by Charles, and they were trying to kind of undercut Carlos a little bit. Then I believe they pit Carlos first
Yeah, they do.
before Esteban, and then they pit Esteban. Carlos is mad because he had the hard tires. He thought he could have bumped out some banger laps and kind of overcut Esteban. Now, that's one of those, again, is that a Ferrari bad call? They kind of had a right to be worried about. They had a right
Graining.
to be worried
Um,
about. Well, they had a right to be worried
yeah,
about Hamilton too on fresh hards, undercutting them. But
that's
Carlos was
fair.
mad on the radio.
I really can't blame Carlos either because like I think realistically he could have gotten a lot more laps out of those tires, a lot more
Yep.
decent time. I don't know what the gap was between him and Lewis. I want to say when he came out of the pit, there was a 1 second gap. Like that was the estimate Ferrari was giving him or whatever.
Yeah.
But I could definitely see Carlos being frustrated. Like he could have easily finished. He should have been competing for a podium and not been competing with the person behind him. And
Yeah.
that's just Ferrari.
Yeah, and if you look at that situation too, like when those guys started going, Lewis was struggling to keep up with them on the medium because Esteban essentially had clear air in front of him because he was so far behind Alonso. And then Carlos had the better tires. So those two started pushing. Lewis really couldn't keep up before the pit cycle. So then you'd think, all right, they pit Esteban. Carlos has not only, hards that are decent still, but clean air. I agree. I think he could have pumped in some laps. I think you just get nervous around Monaco because there's no passing. So you kind of play a safe strategy instead of an aggressive one.
This is my thing about that too. Is like realistically because Max stayed out for a while at mediums, which I know Max isn't clean air, so you didn't have to worry too much about that too. But realistically, like, they knew everybody and their mother saw the forecast was going to lead to rain.
Yeah.
And eventually it was going to start pouring. I realistically think had Ferrari not pitted, they probably could have pitted for inters after those hards almost immediately, and then they would have been okay. They could have potentially finished in the podium. But again, you're right. It's Monaco. You're always worried about the undercut, the overcut. You're always because pretty much it's the only way you're passing in Monaco is through pit stops.
Yeah. Yep. So I think we both agree. You play the safe around Monaco, but like if you're, I don't know, if you want to be aggressive and make up points, you got to make moves, and they were afraid to make moves. So the race was pretty calm there too until the rain started.
Just to reiterate one point. Also, Ferrari's racing Mercedes for the Constructors Championship, not Alpine. Like that's who their competition is. So that's another thing to consider too.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And at that point, it's Carlos 4th, Lewis 5th, Charles 6th, and maybe George 7th, I believe. So
sounds right. Yeah.
So if it ends like that, they'll accumulate more points than Mercedes. That's a really good point. That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. I mean, to me, it's like you're real early in the season, round 7, to be thinking like that. In my mind, you should be trying to go get some points right now, but you're right.
Yeah, I think Ferrari's just going to be a little more realistic. Like they're not competing for that.
Yeah, it's so sad. It's so sad that we're in round 7 and we're already like some teams are throwing in the white flag with their strategies.
Yeah.
But then the rain comes. It makes the race pretty interesting. I would say, like we said, it's pretty single file until the rain comes and shakes some stuff up. Honestly, there's so much going on. My head will be all over the place recapping this. But Max stays out on his mediums to get inters, and that's pretty much good after a few sketchy laps. When you have such a lead, nothing matters. Nothing. The car behind you, what it's doing, it doesn't matter. Fernando Alonso, they put him on the hards. He was not really a fan of that. He didn't think that was the right move. He came in either a lap or two later and threw on the inters. Again, big lead, doesn't matter. I believe theoretically, at that point, George Russell had stayed out, so he was running almost a net P3. Because he was running P3, because he hadn't pit yet. Esteban, Seitz, and Hamilton all pit, and then when the rain comes, it kind of everyone's got one more pit stop, so he was running in a good position. He rose off the track. He follows Lance Stroll, shocker, off the track. Reverses, comes back on, hits Perez, kind of messes with his car, gets him a 5-second penalty. Ferrari, I believe they kept Seitz out one lap too long, right? And he spun out. I believe like Hamilton had already come in at that point.
Yeah.
Seitz spins out.
P7, I think he lost it.
I believe it puts him in the P7 or P6. But it puts them right behind Charles. So again, this was a deal where you had to bring in your cars to put on inters, and they were right on top of each other, so they got killed in the pits. They lost a position to Russell after that. But honestly, the rain didn't matter for Max. He drove it, like he normally does. Fernando,
to an extent. It was a few close calls. I saw some fucking snappage to try to get back on the road.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, were we ever really worried?
It's Monaco. Honestly, like I would have said it any other track, no, but because it's Monaco, one little spin can take you out of the race. So
Yep. No, that's true. I believe because Fernando's two stopped at one point, Ocon might have been like only a few seconds behind him, and Fernando
not
just
that it would have mattered.
jumped on the gas though and opened that back up,
Yeah.
and it didn't matter at all. Lewis kind of was staying close to Esteban the rest of the race, but couldn't pass him. George rolled up on Lewis, but then couldn't pass him, and basically just
I
needed to
want to talk
keep
about that. I
what?
really want to talk about that one. George on the radio, it's just like, which when you mentioned the 5 second penalty he got,
Yep.
I'm sorry, but like George, like you got to be looking. I know you can't see anything. The rain's coming down. It's hard and stuff, but you have to expect that cars are going to be coming in Monaco like that. Like he like just backed up immediately and just went straight into checkout. And then he gets a 5 second penalty, and then he wants to overtake Lewis. He keeps on complaining in the radio the entire time. Oh, let me overtake Lewis. I got to make up this time. I got to make up this time. I got to make up this time. And then he's like, Lewis is too slow. Lewis is too slow. Lewis is too slow. By the end of the race, I want to say Lewis pulled like a 6 second gap on George.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think George was pushing hard because he was worried about that
Lewis
five
with the
seconds.
5 second penalty, but the person behind him was like 6+ seconds too.
Yeah, well, and then that's what I read something that he was real mad because he should have finished third in that race. If he doesn't fall off the track, he finishes third, and he knew that when he made his mistake that he was not thinking straight. He said because of that, and he said that once they opened up the gap behind him to Leclerc, that he was just chilling. He was like, I just brought the car home at that point. But yeah,
No, but I know, but
my man's
this has
was
been a
like
common
wanting.
thing with this has been a common thing with like Giorgio lately. Especially, he always wants a Mercedes to flip flop and stuff.
Yeah,
And like, I don't know if there's been like a team. I know Lewis did it willingly once this year. He let George overtake him like once.
yeah.
But George, if you want it that bad, you got to come and take it. I'm sorry. This is the
Yeah,
seventh time champion. You're asking me to just let you overtake. Like that's not happening.
yeah, and
Sorry, 8 times
and
champion.
on a wet race track when Lewis is right behind Esteban, all Esteban has to do is not even wreck, just like overshoot a corner, and Lewis could
Well,
be
that's
in there. You know what I
and,
mean?
and that's
So
and that's the other thing too. Like, where are you gonna make up time? Lewis was going slow, but it's only because like Esteban's right in front of him. Like, where's he gonna go? He has nowhere to go.
yeah, well they were just worried that yeah, I mean I was like what do you want? You want Lewis to like go slow up Leclerc behind, but still maintain 5 seconds? Like it's way too complicated at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a George Russell move though on the radio, trying to play Toto Wolff's position over there, trying to move people.
I was surprised when
Uh,
Toto came on the radio.
yeah. Well, I mean, Toto was trying to keep George calm. That was kind of his old thing. And no, that was your race. The rain made it exciting. Um, to go back to, I believe it was someone in the booth, either Brundle or Crofty said, "Don't tell me F1 has outgrown Monaco after the qualifying," which was insane. If you ever listen back to the show, Alex is always saying that Monaco needs to end after qualifying because it's the most exciting part. But the race still, F1 has outgrown Monaco race wise, at least in my opinion.
I mean, the spectacle itself, I get it. You can't really get rid of it, but I don't know. I don't know what you realistically can do to make the race exciting, other than guaranteeing rain every single race.
Can you imagine they set up a sprinkler system on the side of
I'm like,
the
it would be a horrible idea. He's like,
Oh no, I can't.
we're gonna make some puddles at the chicane, so you might want to rock some enters.
I can't imagine what that would cost, but you're right. Unless you get like, cause what me and you both say is that race was exciting once the rain came. Before that, it was decided, it was over, it was done.
And lap one, and turn one.
Yeah, and like yeah, Perez maybe made a pass, and like those guys maybe made a pass on Sargent
Oh,
in the
I
back,
didn't
but
think that was
that's
You know
garbage
who I
time.
felt? You know who I felt bad for, and this is something I wanted to ask you about. I think Hulkenberg was on hards for a while in the wet. Like they
Oh,
just kept him out there on hards.
K Mag,
Was it
K
Hulkenberg
Mag,
or K Mag? Okay, one of
yeah,
them two was.
Ryan's guy.
And like, and then I know they ended up making him retire early, just like just save the gearbox and stuff, right? What's preventing teams from doing that?
For
Like, hey,
doing
I'm not
what?
gonna get from just retiring cars early to like, save the gearbox as much as possible. Like, hey, I'm gonna finish outside the points. I'm 20 seconds behind P10. Like,
Yeah,
I'm just gonna retire the car like 5 laps early or 10 laps early or whatever.
I think it's a little bit of like racer, like you know racer mentality. You can't do that is like the one side, but the other side I would say is I think those guys really I think they get a lot of data on that stuff.
Oh, okay,
like
okay, okay.
like that's where they accumulate their like that's where they accumulate the race data for like other weeks, and you
Mm-hmm.
never know. I mean, we've seen some late look at Australia for instance. Let's say that caution, when the big wreck happens with 4 laps to before that or something, and they end the
Yeah.
race under caution. You could get into the point. So it's kind of that. But that was my thing with the sprint race. you know you're in 17th, 18th with 2 to go. They're not paying out the top 10 for points. They're only paying out the top 7, and it's not going to affect where you start in the race because you're already locked in from the other qualifying nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Yeah, you have to make it so that there's a reason for them not to pull off. But I think a lot of it is like the data and trying to learn
Okay.
about their cars. Um, but you're right. When it comes to wet, like you could really beat up a gearbox, like over revving constantly when on those on those like slick tracks. So that's probably not a bad move after they left him out for like 36 laps. He almost ended up probably like in the ocean. Just
It was dude, during the rain. I felt like I wasn't even watching the race anymore. It was just every camera angle. There was like another car that was spun out or
yeah.
ended up in
Well,
the runoff.
yeah, like those first couple laps too before they got the inters when it was only raining on that one part of the track. Dude, they were going like turtle speed. You were like,
Yeah,
if someone who didn't know what was going on turned that on, they'd be like, I thought these cars were supposed to go fast. They're looking like they're going 3 miles an hour. Well, yeah,
dude.
this
And then
is
like
this.
Logan Sargent crashed about like at every possible chicane. Dude, he just kept. I felt so bad for him this weekend. He had a rough one.
Alex, how hard did I beat that drum that like he was gonna be the dude for a rookie?
I
And
mean,
how wrong have I been?
it's still Williams though. Like
Yeah,
it
I
really is.
know.
I mean, like, not that I don't think he would do any better. Like, if you put him in DeVries' position, I think he would do the same. Like, I think DeVries probably would be better at Williams the way he's having this year right now. But
Yeah, and the way he raced Nat Williams last year. Um,
yeah, but
all
it's
right,
a
well,
big jump too. Indy
yeah,
500 to F1. Oh, I'm
that's
sorry,
no
Indy
joke.
500. IndyCar to F1.
No joke. All right, to wrap up Monaco, I some notes I have. Did you see that Gasly couldn't dock at the? I guess Red Bull has like a dock or like an energy station, and Gasly tried to dock his boat there and couldn't.
I
I
didn't see
think
it.
he thought he could roll up in there being former Red Bull.
Nah,
Um,
Marco's not playing with. Marco hates him.
yeah, for sure. Nick DeVries, I thought he did pretty good. Don't forget, this was the first race after he got threatened that he's going to lose his ride by after
Mm-hmm.
Spain, and he was he
Yeah,
was
they
he
got
did okay.
Danny Rick. Yeah,
Yep,
they got
he
to
did all
get ready
right.
for Danny Rick.
Oh, one thing you talk about that McLaren livery. How about Lando on that last stint on the Inters though? He
This
passed a
thing.
couple cars. He
Yeah, he
took
did.
down the
He did his
gap
thing.
crazy. He was the fastest driver on the track by far.
Lando was doing the thing. Who ended up? Was it Lewis ended up with fastest lap, right?
Yeah, yep, yep.
So when I saw the pit Checo, I thought they were gonna have Checo end up with fastest lap, trying to steal a point away.
Oh yeah, yep, me too. And I was
He went
like,
out. He came out the slicks.
that's so petty. Hamilton's not gonna
And
get
no,
it. But I
I
was
said
like,
that. That's the same thing. I was like, dude, like you guys don't need to do this for sure.
but listen, it gets that serious. So, Let's go over the results top to bottom here real quick. Max 1, Fernando 2, Esteban 3, Lewis 4, George 5, Charles 6, Pierre 7, Carlos 8th. After his incidents, after the spin and the double pit, Lando 9th, Oscar 10th. So we got a double points there for McLaren. Good for them. Bottas 11th, De Vries 12th, Joe Guanyu 13th, Albon 14th. Yuki brings it home in 15th after not being able to get his brakes on apparently late in the race. Very upset with his engineer. Shocker, shocker. Sergio 16th, Nico 17th, Sargent 18th, and DNFs for Magnussen and Stroll. So, how
Yuki,
funny was Yuki on the radio?
dude, to me it was like when he got passed by was it Oscar who passed him
Yeah.
to get into the points. Yeah, Oscar passed him to the points, and the commentator's like, You know, this is a familiar position for Yuki. He hasn't finished anything lower than P11 because I'm pretty sure the entire season has been like P10, P11 for him.
Yeah, it's been crazy.
Something like
P10,
that.
P11, and there's one P9 I think in there. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that. So he hasn't
like
finished
his
lower than P11,
yeah,
and
like
then
his
like 15 seconds later, he's fucking. I think he ended up losing it into the runoff or whatever. It looks like he was trying to spin it, like how Vettel used to do it,
yeah
like just trying to do the drift or whatever, and he just failed miserably, and then he had to reverse out of it,
yeah
and then
he
he ends up in P13. I was like, talk about
I
a
think that
Casper's curse.
I think this race really messed up. He had a good streak going. Like Alonso has a good streak going too.
Podiums, right?
Um,
This
yeah,
is a
Alonso.
hundred. This is 103rd podium for him, something like that, right?
It was something like that, but I think he's only finished. I think he's only finished outside the top four
P4.
once. I think he has one P5.
Is it Australia? No. I'm trying to figure out what race it is.
Yeah. I forget where it was.
No, this year he's like the right now Alonso's like the max during the Mercedes dominance era. Like it's just Checo and Max on the podium, and there's Alonso every time.
Yeah, they had the picture of Alonso's foot on the first place podium, and they were like, "He's coming for it."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's before we go into some of our prediction picks, and then we have still get to talk about the Spanish Grand Prix here. Just gonna go over the driver standings after this week. Max in first, Sergio in second. That is a 39-point lead there. Yes, 39 points is correct. Fernando in third, Lewis in fourth. That gap is growing a little bit there. George Russell fifth, Seitz sixth, Leclerc is in seventh. Lance is in eighth, Esteban in ninth after that great run to Monaco, and then Pierre is in 10th. Constructors, Red Bull's in first with 249. Aston Martin is in second with 120. Okay, that is a 129-point difference, which is nuts. Mercedes 1 point behind Aston Martin in third with 119. Ferrari's in fourth with 90, so they are 29 points behind Mercedes. Alpine is in fifth, McLaren sixth, Haas seventh, Alfa eighth, AlphaTauri ninth, and then Williams in 10th. So that is that. Are you ready to see our pick'ems from this week?
Not really, but yeah, let's go.
Well, it's funny that you don't want to see them because you had a monster week. I absolutely got stomped this week. So
Oh
sure,
wow, okay, I didn't know that. I forgot my pick. Oh no,
yes.
Max was saved me. Oh, I George.
Yeah, so if you're listening along right now, top five was Max, Fernando, Esteban, Lewis, and George. Alex picked Max, Sergio, Charles, Fernando, and George. So he got 5 points for guessing the winner correctly, Max. He got 3 points for guessing George right in the fifth position. And then he got an extra point for guessing Fernando in the top five correctly, which gave him 9 points this week. I had Charles, Max, Checo, Carlos, and Fernando. I had Max and Fernando correctly in the top five, but not in the right spot, so I only got 2 points. So they're supposed to say round 7, not round 6, but Alex got 9 points this week. I got 2, bringing our season total to Alex with 35 and myself with 29. So that was a good week. You thought it was going to be a bad week for you? You did great this week.
I forgot I had George at 5. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
And I also was upset that I was upset watching the race and not picking Lewis for the top 5.
Yeah, well,
So I thought I did worse than I thought.
No,
I forgot that you put both you were riding high on that Ferrari race.
Yeah, let me tell you something. That'll be the
I knew
that'll
you
be the
had
last
Charles.
time. That'll be the last time.
Carlos. I know you had Carlos.
Yeah, you tried to correct me right away. You were like, no, I still don't believe Ferrari's gonna have it, and I'm like, no. Ferrari's gonna get rid of their bad luck. Leclerc's bad luck is gonna be out of the way. Nope, it just continues. So that is that. All right, hey, Spanish Grand Prix this weekend.
Yes, sir. Let's hear the history and then do a rundown of our pick'ems.
Ooh, you already know we're ready for that history. Okay. Most wins here. Schumacher and Hamilton are both tied at 6. The most wins here for a constructor is actually Ferrari, though. Alex, guess the number.
Well,
Higher.
Kimmy might have won one here. Higher. 12?
Ooh, that is correct. Second guess. Good job. Yes, Ferrari has the most constructor wins with 12. Our past 5 winners are Max. And then, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Lewis. I believe he actually won 2017 too. I believe he won 5 in a row. Notable races here in the past. I only really have 3. Last race, let's not forget that Charles broke from the lead of that race. Okay. Max and Carlos both spin on their own. Lewis has a first lap incident with K-Mag, drops down to 20th, and I still think finishes the race 5th or 6th, coming from a mile and a half behind. George actually was able to hold off the Red Bulls here for a couple of laps, honestly because the track is tough on passing, but also because Max was struggling with that DRS. Then it was kind of like Max and...
I do remember this race, yeah.
Yep, Max and Carlos are in a tough spot. They're trying to get Carlos to do some stuff. He's unhappy. They essentially just put Max on a different strategy, a whole different strategy, where he undercuts Sergio and whatever, and Max ends up winning the race. So, and there was a little bit of tension in Red Bull there, because Sergio was not happy with what they were asking him to do and how they handled that. So that was last year. 2021, I believe Max gets the good jump on Lewis into turn 1. I believe it's one of the many incidences in 2021 where if Lewis doesn't lift, Max wrecks both of them. I could honestly pull up probably 3 or 4 clips from that year of Max almost wrecking Lewis on the first lap. But Lewis is behind Max. There's about lap 35, they start discussing Mercedes. You can watch the video on YouTube. It's amazing. A extra pit stop. They pull the trigger on lap 43-ish. Basically, they pull in Hamilton for a scrub set of mediums. On his out lap, he was already undercut Red Bull, so they could not pit Max, so they had to keep him out and hope that he could hang on to the lead. But he actually ends up passing Verstappen with like 6 laps to go because Max's tires fall off a cliff. Red Bull was like, they should, all the stuff was saying if his tires fall off, he's going to pass him on the last lap. But he actually passes him with 6 to go. So that's a Mercedes masterclass with strategy. Look that up. It's pretty good. And then in 2016, Alex, what happened with the Mercedes?
That was a famous Nico Lewis crash, right?
Yes. In the season where Nico interrupts all of Lewis's championships, they get together there. Maybe Nico drives him down. Lewis stuck it in there. Hard racing. I don't know who you want to blame. I'll let other people decide that one. It's pretty far history now, but that was 2016. Do you know what else happened in that race?
Do not.
So Max Verstappen gets his first win ever. Also, his first win in Red Bull in his first race in Red Bull. He starts the season off with Toro Rosso. They demote Daniel Kvyat and put Max in the Spanish Grand Prix. Shocker, as you're about to see happen with De Vries maybe get demoted right after the Spanish Grand Prix. And then because the track is so hard to pass, Kimi Räikkönen holds him off for a bunch of laps. Kimi with better tires, and Max gets his first win at like 12 or 17 or something like that. I forget what it was, but he was young. Which is honestly is one of the signs that, like, all right, they obviously promoted Max to Red Bull for a reason because he's that guy, and then to make no mistakes with the Iceman behind you, it was pretty impressive stuff. So
Speaking of, did you see the when he wrecked in Monaco or whatever, and he ended up going to watch the rest of the race on his yacht?
Absolutely. So, like, when Monaco comes around, some of the throwback clips, aren't they amazing? And that one is so great every year.
They're great, dude. Kimmy's a character, man. I miss that dude.
Yeah,
Vettel was there, by the way.
I saw him.
About what race he would show up, and
Yep.
I was surprised it was Monaco.
Yeah, hugging Lewis. I saw that. Yeah. Oh, okay. So we didn't, man, we have so much to talk about today. We're going to go back to Monaco here real quick. Mercedes brought two things. We'll start with Aston Martin. In one of the practices, they said that they're basically done developing for the year. Their R&D is basically done. They're focusing on next year already. So that's interesting. I get it. You're probably not going to catch Red Bull this year, and you have a decent car to compete for second. So you just focus on next year to try
To an extent, but all you gotta do is keep on taking pictures of that Red Bull and figure it out.
We didn't talk
That's what
about that.
they're,
Okay.
they're gonna copy pasta that, bro.
Okay. Alex, genius here. Thank you. So, like, we discussed Sergio Rex in the first turn in Q1 in Monaco because of how tight the track is. They have crazy cranes from everywhere, and they just lift the cars up, what, 50,
Yeah,
40
like
feet in the air?
Yeah.
And even the announcers were like, everyone is going to have their camera out to see the floor. It sounds silly, but there's no time and opportunity where anyone can see the underneath of the car. The teams won't let, the teams are smart. Obviously, the cars race on the ground, so you can't see it. And when they're moving them around, they're going to keep them low because there's such an aerodynamic, advantage, and there's so much underneath that you don't ever get to see the bottom. In Monaco, they lift them 40 feet up in the air. Everyone was snapping away. You're absolutely right. I'm so glad you brought that up, dude. That's great. You saved the show. Yeah, because Lewis's car was in the air and no one said anything. No one cared. No one's copying that.
No, not yet.
But Sergio's car, 60 feet up in the air, getting pictures taken. So yeah, so those are the two. Oh, I guess what else we have to discuss? I guess we won't really get to know until this week, but Mercedes brought the new side pods out.
Yeah, it looks like a black Ferrari now.
Yeah, kind of. It's like I thought people were trying to compare it to a Ferrari and a Red Bull. It's got, like, I guess, a little bit of both.
Yeah, a little bit of mix. Yeah.
I guess we won't really know how it goes until Spain this upcoming weekend. But they unveiled them again. They weren't like a second faster. I think they still struggled with pace a little bit. But
it's hard to say with Monaco, but
yeah.
we'll see.
So
Or
that'll
like,
be that'll be a big thing to watch for in Spain is those upgrades from them. And hey, one big noticeable change that we'll see at the Spanish Grand Prix this year is they have removed the chicane in the last corner. So I believe it was turns like 14 and 15. If you know the race, they come through this DRS zone, they hang a hard left, quick right. Then they would hit this other right, this tight chicane, and then come onto a front stretch. Well, the last chicane was so hard to follow people through it. That's what made passing tough. You would lose so much going through it and trying to get traction coming out of the turn that you wouldn't be able to pass. Well, now they've kind of made it this wide sweeping turn that MotoGP has been using for a bunch of years. And it's going to make the front stretch longer. It's going to make the track, it's going to change the distance of the track. But it's going to, I think you're going to see a lot more overtaking here, Alex.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Because some of the reviews about this race, not that Max did anything wrong in 2016, but he definitely wasn't the fastest car. But there's only basically one place to pass with, if you're on par with someone and it's the front stretch, and if it's too short, what are you going to do? So I think this wide sweeping turn is going to be interesting, and I think it's going to make the racing a little bit better for sure. So let's look at, I got the gambling. I got the odds on DraftKings here. You're going to like this. Let me know when it pops up on your screen, Alex.
I'm gonna go Lance and Fernando. My eyes are closed, so I'm gonna go Lance. Fernando is like a plus 70,000 difference. And let's see, who's another big difference? I know Oscar and Lando are pretty big difference too. I'll go like plus 2,000.
Are you there yet?
Yeah, I'm here. So we got Max minus 250.
What? You're not going to comment on the background of this?
Oh my god!
I was so proud of myself for this.
Okay,
I had to put the Spaniard in one of his top years here of recently.
You don't want to throw Carlos on there?
You know what? I thought of making a montage, and I was like, "This is enough work for me.
Okay.
This is what the people are getting."
Fernando plus 1,100. Where is?
Yeah. Alex, why don't you take us through the whole thing?
We got plus 25. That's it. Wait, no. Yeah, plus 12,000. That's the only difference. Nah, bro, you got to put Lance like plus 90. You got to throw in plus 90 at this point. So we got Max at minus 250, obvious favorite. Checo plus 330. We got Fernando at plus 1100. Lewis at plus 2K. George plus 22. Charles 22. Wow. They are not giving any respect to Carlos, huh? I feel like he's low key kind of having a little bit of a better year than Charles lately. He's at least been a little more consistent.
Yep.
Lance, just throw him at plus 90K. That's a lie. Pierre plus 25. Lando plus 25. Esteban plus 25. Oh, I remember. That's what we talk about. Why is Lando always splitting these freaking Alpines?
Well, before it was Pierre and Lando had the same, and then Esteban was like plus 30,000 or something. At least all three of them are the same. It's just the fact that Lando, they still respect Lando so much to put him up there with those Alpines when the Alpines have been showing speed.
Plus 30. I still think you have. Yeah, I still got to put Lando at plus 30 because McLaren's what P6 in constructors or P7,
something like that. Yeah.
Like that. Yeah. Anyways, and then the rest is plus 60, plus 90.
Yep.
Low key. Okay. They did separate. I was gonna say they should separate Alex and Logan, but I do see that now.
Yeah. And so what's interesting here is I don't think DeVries, Logan have ever run on this track before. So, and then Joe Guan Yu has. So I was kind of like, maybe that's the difference. But they throw Joe Guan Yu down there with them in the plus 90, which is kind of crazy.
That is kind of crazy, but you know.
So those are your DraftKings odds. Obviously, I'm not gonna say if a friend of the show Julian is watching right now, Alex, but I sent him a little text last week. I said, you have Max Verstappen at like plus 110. If you ever have Max Verstappen plus money, you probably want to hit it. I don't gamble on racing because I love it. I don't think you should gamble on the things you love because I don't want to ruin it for myself. But I texted my friends. I said, yo, why don't you take this bet? Who ended up winning the race?
Did he?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
No. Last time I tried to give him advice. Jeez Louise. All right, so Spanish Grand Prix. Again, I like to say, don't forget, Charles broke from the lead last year. May that influence the decision. But no, because it's 2023, Ferrari still is awful, and Red Bull is a rocket ship. So I will remember that this week going into my picks, and I'm not going to try to be a hero like I was last week.
Alrighty.
So, I think you picked first last week, so I'm going to pick first this week. And I'm going Max this week. This is my week to go Max. So, boom. There's Max.
I'm gonna duplicate that pick. I'm gonna go Max.
Okay. All right. Laptop's a little slow here, but we got it. We're about to duplicate that. Max, you're saying Max. All right, so I'm gonna do it. I said I wouldn't do it, but I'm gonna do it.
Oh, don't do this to yourself. I think I know what you're gonna do, but don't do it to yourself. Come on, you got to play for the win, John. You still got a chance. We got a lot of fucking season left.
I did it. Lewis at 2. Come on, let's go. Listen, he comes from 20th to like 6th last year. Arguably the fastest like race car out there because after the incident. We got new side pods. We're coming with speed. We're coming for Fernando. I don't care about Checo right now. Lewis 2 all day. Let's go.
All right. Well, I'll go Fernando too. Got to give him the Spaniards some respect on the Spanish Grand Prix.
Wow, you're taking home country into consideration, Alex. I think that's big brain right there. I respect that.
I'm kind of upset with John. I'm not gonna lie to you.
No. I'm going for upgrades. Don't worry. This is a strategy pick. So, yeah, you know what's crazy is that I don't ever think Checo's gonna finish third. Like if he's not finishing first or second, I just think that he's like his race is through. So hard for me to pick.
I'm telling you right now, you're jinxing yourself, and he's gonna end up winning the race.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm picking him 3. So
all right.
I'm going Sergio 3. What about yourself?
See ya. It was all about the strategy pick. I let you go first to make that decision, right? I'll go Lewis 3.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so but we're both thinking that Lewis is going to have a fast race car.
Faster than Lance, yeah.
Okay. All right, pick four. Oh man, what do I do here? I gotta go Fernando. You can't not put. You know what? You know what? I'm gonna do it. You know
There's
what? I'm gonna do it.
no.
I'm gonna do it. I did it.
All right. I
You
haven't
got
seen it
George.
yet. I'm waiting.
You got
I'm
George.
waiting.
You got
Oh, you
George
got
F.
George?
You got George F
Oh,
four.
you're putting George?
I'm
You,
putting George.
I had a feeling you're gonna do that with the upgrades. See,
Yep.
I'm gonna separate the Mercedes here, and I'm gonna throw in. I'll throw a little bit of a surprise here. I'm gonna go Carlos. Would
Wow.
love some more Spaniards.
Yeah, you are loving the Spaniards. Also, though, you have not put Checo in your top five. What does that say?
I should check out four. I'm not gonna lie,
Nope.
but I'm gonna go Carlos.
Pick is
I said
locked.
it. Yeah.
And then five. It's just hard for me to not pick Fernando. Honestly, because I think he'll be somewhere in the top five. He probably won't even be fifth. He'll probably be better than fifth, but I'm going with Fernando.
I'm gonna go five with Checo.
You're gonna go five with Checo. Just make sure you get that 1 point for him in the top five.
Yeah.
What if we had like an incident where Checo and Max wreck each other going into the famous turn where Nico and Lewis wrecked each other? That
Nah,
wouldn't
bro.
happen.
No, yeah.
Um,
Helmet will replace him real quick.
Let me go over the picks real quick. I myself, Jonathan, have picked Max in 1, Lewis in 2, Checo 3, George 4, Fernando 5. Alex has Max first, Fernando second, Lewis third, Carlos fourth, and Checo fifth. So that is our game. Remember, Alex has a lead on me going into this week. That is our picks. We are excited for the Spanish Grand Prix. One more. I have actually a couple more. This
Not a
is
single
the.
Ferrari in your top five.
No, I'm not doing that again.
After
I'm actually
Charles
like real.
pulled away last week,
I'm like
last
I'm
year,
like
you're not even taking a little consideration for
Alex.
Charles?
I'm like real mad about that Monaco performance by them. Okay, real mad. I put him first. Okay, I obviously could
That
have picked
was a
Max
lot.
first. Yeah,
That was a lot.
yeah, and they just let me down. I'm not. They're in timeout this week. That's why they're not getting picked. They're in timeout. News I got. I don't know if you saw today. Alfa Romeo is set to leave Sauber and join Haas One as a title sponsor, starting next year. So Sauber has been around Formula One. Their just name has changed, so they will come back as Sauber next year in 2000. That would be 24. Excuse me, 2024. They were basically just going to probably be Sauber unless they get a new sponsor until 2026 because that is when Audi will team up with them. So Alfa Romeo is leaving as title sponsor of Sauber and will head to Haas, and that's money coming into Haas. Maybe it could make them a little bit more competitive. Haas hasn't been the worst car on the grid this year, and they could probably use the boost. They were saying the liveries are very much the same, so that's exciting news. One thing you
What else do we have?
one thing you texted
Yeah.
me this week was that Honda is confirmed to be
Yep.
pairing up with Aston Martin in 2026. If you guys don't know, Fernando used to drive McLaren, and they had Honda engines, and Fernando hated their engines, said they were slow. If you ever seen a GP2 engine comment or meme on Instagram, on social media, it is from that Honda engine. So what do you think about that pairing back up in 2026?
Here's where it's gonna go, just because I know Red Bull's manufacturing their own engines now, but they're gonna lose that Honda deal, obviously. I'm also curious if this is really gonna push the Stroll to switch that second driver. I don't think he's going to this year or next year. But when that Honda contract comes in, I wouldn't be surprised if they start to push for like a Japanese driver there. If Yuki keeps on performing and stops losing his temper, I could see Yuki in a Aston Martin in a few years. I am curious to see how it's going to work entirely. I hope it's still fast, and I hope Aston Martin is still competing at this point. But if they're just going to keep copy pasting Red Bull, they're going to have to make some serious upgrades to honestly get the results they're looking for to win a championship.
Yeah, and you said the Yuki thing to me. I personally would be shocked if Yuki is still in it in a couple of years with his performances now. Um,
I think so. I would have said that a year ago, but I think this year he's starting to prove he does have the potential that people are looking for. But we'll see
he's
what happens.
definitely a lot more consistent with those P10s that we talked about. So, and you're right. Like, let's not act like Honda doesn't want a a driver from their region of the world. We see it all the time. A big sponsor will come in and they'll want a certain driver that's maybe the same nationality as their company. We see it all the time. So that Yuki thing, actually, like, what, I don't know what the date today is. Monday, May 29th, 2023. Mark it here. If it happens, Alex predicted it. All right. So I wanted it on the record books because my man would have predicted it a few years early, and I would be impressed. But what does that do with their relationship with Mercedes? They're pretty close with Mercedes. They stop using Mercedes engines. I wonder what that's gonna do. You know, if it's gonna affect them at all, besides the engine wise.
That's good. It's going to hurt Mercedes. They're going to lose some money.
Yep,
Not
yep.
that they
That's
really, not that they really need it. They can find something to fill that, but we'll see. We'll see. I think that relationship's going to be done. It's not like Stroll doesn't have the money anywhere else. They're
yeah.
going to get fine.
I'm also interested if Stroll will sell the team before he gets rid of his son. If they'll both peace at the same time. I
Now
mean,
that's
they have so much.
I think that's more of a crazy statement than what I said. I think
Why
Stroll really
though?
loves racing. I think Stroll really is a fan of racing. The father, well, the son obviously too, but I think he really is a fan of racing. Unless he's like sick or something, and he just wants, hey, let me just get the money now and leave an inheritance to the family, so on and so forth. I really don't see him selling the team anytime soon. If
Okay.
unless he gets like a big shareholder like Ferrari position kind of thing, like buying a bigger team than maybe. But I don't see him selling.
Okay, I like. Yeah, I mean, we're speculating on 2026, so I don't know. My
Yeah,
crystal ball is not reading good. I don't know how yours is over there, so they're just rumors.
if I'm
And then
predicting it, it's probably wrong.
the last rumor here is how about, did you hear the Lewis to Ferrari rumors are heating up this week?
I think that's exactly what Lewis said. Like I thought it was kind of messed up where when he asked Charles when he heard the rumors and he just looked straight at Lewis, and I'm like, dude, I feel so bad for Carlos. Like this guy is one having a better year than Charles, but they're not. They just looked at Charles and they're talking about your future teammate as if doesn't exist anymore. They're not going to re-sign Carlos at all. They have
Yeah,
no intention with that.
Ferrari said that they didn't speak to Lewis. Lewis declined it all. But I saw the internet was buzzing. The internet was like, "Listen, Lewis is on a 1 year deal. He's always talked how he's wanted to go to Ferrari at some point. Like if Mercedes doesn't pick it up, that's why they're sitting here. That's why Lewis hasn't resigned. I don't the it was getting hot in the kitchen this week. I don't know if it's because there was no race
Lewis
last week, so
always
there
does.
was
I
nothing to
think
talk about. But it was
Lewis
hot.
always does these one. Lewis always does the 1 year deals, and I think his 1 year deals are more because he's leaning towards retirement and switching teams. Like, yeah.
I agree. I just don't think that's any fun, Alex. Okay, that's not
All right.
fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know. Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I do not want to see Lewis in like a Ferrari. It's just like Niki Lauda was a big part of his career. He ended up Mercedes. I think Lewis should do the same.
Yeah, and honestly, if you look at Ferrari, like Vettel never won the championship with them. What
They
Raikkonen?
ruin good drivers. They
Yeah,
ruin good drivers. Raikkonen was the last championship they won. They did it with Alonso, made
yeah,
him look like the worst driver on the. Well, obviously McLaren did that one, but help push this guy out of F1. They did it with Vettel, help push
yeah.
him out of F1, and now you want to do. They're doing it with Charles now.
Mhm.
Like Charles is regarded as a championship caliber driver, and now people are seriously talking like he's like
Yeah.
the next. I don't know, garbage. Like he's going to be gone next week here
The
or
only
something.
difference is that Charles
But
is young though. Like they brought in Charles
yeah,
young. Those other guys you
yeah,
mentioned, they brought him in as vets. Like, Vettel comes off with winning four
established
championships.
champions.
Yeah, Vettel comes off with winning four championships. He might have had one gap year, and then he went to Red Bull or he went to Ferrari. And yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. Ferrari looks like a career killer right now, but whatever. What are you gonna do? Rumors are rumors, and we're here to talk about them sometimes.
That makes me excited, I guess. It's exactly
Um,
what I said. I was like, yeah, no time.
yeah,
They're bored.
I couldn't agree more. I think the 1 year contracts are because he's waiting to retire too. But It's crazy though. Like if he really wants to, like Fernando's still kicking butt, and Fernando's a few years older than Lewis. So like,
I don't think Lewis is a lack of talent. It's just literally
no,
Mercedes is like he's out racing George this year. Qualifying, I think he's won 4 of the 7, something like that. I don't know what it is, but
yeah.
he's and George is regarded as a top talent, top young talent right now. So like, it's not a lack of talent that Mercedes. I'm sorry, that Lewis isn't competing for a driver championship. You put Lewis in the Red Bull, him and Max are probably going to kill each other. I wouldn't be surprised if like they would have won a constructors championship because how many times they're going to wreck each other.
Everything you just said was good. Everything. How they're them killing each other, and the fact you're right. You would be like, oh, they'd win the constructor championship by week 6, but you're right. They might not win it because they'd be wrecking so much. Wow, that's hot take right there. I like that. I like that a lot. All right, bud. Well, hey, happy Memorial Day. We got our show off on the holiday. Late start. Um, Thank you for pushing that back for me. I appreciate that, bud. And then our technical
I mean,
difficulties. So I know the stream has been a little laggy lately. We've been fooling around with some latency stuff, so I'll change that. I think there was a little echo today, which we're gonna get all that fixed. So, this is our first full year doing this show. Me and Alex, we wanted to see how our commitment would be week in and week out, and it's going good. So we're gonna start like a Mercedes, making small upgrades throughout the year. You probably won't see us jump to the top like Red Bull level. We're gonna change our side pods and do the best we can. So thank you guys for watching. Alex, we'll review this Spanish Grand Prix next Monday.
yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey, enjoy your week, everybody. We'll be back Monday.